Brett Allen here. Thanks for watching and listening. We're talking Paradise City with one of the stars today, Blake Jenner. You've probably heard of him before. He's been in a few things, but I'm very excited to chat with him about this great film. Blake, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to get going with you and talking about this movie.
Yeah, this is a great film. I mean, the cast alone, including yourself, is just phenomenal. I mean, John Travolta, of course, Bruce Willis. I mean, it is the marriage of a perfect storm of talent. How did it feel to be a part of this movie and to get to be in company with just some phenomenal people? I mean, it's just a good movie.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I was constantly pinching myself on set. A, because you get to work in Maui, which I'd never been there before, and then B, with like incredible talents like Bruce and John and Steven and everybody else who's part of this project. I don't think there was a weak link among anyone aside from myself. But there's also Chuck Russell, who's a wonderful director. We became fast friends, and he directed one of my favorite movies of all time that kind of made me want to start acting and get into improv and stuff, and that was The Mask with Jim Carrey. So the second I read the script, I got to meet Chuck over Zoom, and I was just very quick to tell him, Chuck, I mean, thank you so. My 12-year-old self would never forgive me if I don't say this, or even younger, but thank you for The Mask. And I told him it was like one of my favorite movies growing up, and we got to talking about that. But it was incredible. I definitely at least felt like I had to kind of strip away any quick itches to kind of get insecure or like withhold, to kind of be I mean, like self-conscious in any way, because this was the kind of movie you had to just jump in, and it was my first action movie. It was quite the hurdle at first, just to kind of get limber enough, I guess, mentally and physically, and get ready to jump into all of these wild scenes with two of the biggest stars ever, and I had a great time learning off of them. And also just kind of proving to myself that I could do this. And it was no small feat by any means. It was action packed through and through. I got to do a lot of things that I haven't done before, and it was so fun. And I'm glad. In my opinion, I think I did my best at pulling it off, and I think it flies. But it was definitely my first time jumping into the whole action genre, which I was so excited about.
Yeah, I would say so. It's slightly different from other projects that you've been a part of.
Oh yeah. Usually
From
it's just like coming of age or slice of life
Glee,
kind of stuff,
like the
Yeah.
singing and all of that sort of stuff, to
Yeah.
like really hardcore action.
Yeah.
And these
And like
guys,
fight scenes and stuff. It
yeah,
was no
I know
Those were
it's
really cool too. I think they slipped one in the trailer. I was like, thanks for making me look a little badass.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
really great.
So were you able to? I know this was one of Bruce's last films. This was obviously made, in
Yeah.
that sort of time capsule before he had decided to retire from the industry.
To
And of
step
course,
away.
John,
Yeah.
yeah, and John, of course, I, I mean, I have to ask because I mean,
Hmm.
you do such a good job, but what is the intensity level like sharing scenes with John Travolta? I mean,
Oh man.
I hear he's like not super method per se, but really like when you're sharing a scene with him. And I know this is sort of uh self-serving question. I apologize, but I just have
No,
to
no.
know like what is the intensity level like? Like, is it one take and done? I mean, you really probably have to be. I mean, same with Bruce, I would imagine too.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, these guys, they don't mess around, and they've been doing it for a long time. So you got to bring your A game. I think across the board of all of us actors, working with them, we knew we had to kind of just like jump in and give it our all. With Bruce, right, all my scenes, they're very family oriented in a sense where like we're playing father and son. So that was fun, and he brought so much emotion, in certain times where we kind of reunite at points and stuff, and that was easy for me to do because I've done movies like that, but it was also just wonderful having a new scene partner like Bruce, and he was just a joy to work with. And John, I mean, he's playing this kind of this mean and rough around the edges kind of character, the scary dude. he'll stop at nothing to get what he wants. And I have this. Well, I don't want to ruin anything. I keep saying in these interviews, but there is a one-off scene with me and John, which is really fun, and I was so excited that we got to finally do it at the later days of our shoot. But no, I mean he's like a theater cat, and that's how Chuck puts it. Like he grew up doing theater,
Yeah.
and I grew up doing theater, probably not as much as him, but it was really fun to get into. I've done movies where they allowed for a lot of rehearsal time. And I was surprised at the amount of rehearsal time that we had on this. And I got a few days where I got to rehearse with John. And even the day that we shot that scene, I got to rehearse with him early on in the day. And you just see how much he cares and how much thought he puts into it. And even him improvising, you see how he finds these like very meaningful kind of nuggets of information, within just play. And he kind of puts them in, and it offers up those scary kind of 3% adjustments, like all the more. He kind of turns up the volume a bit, like emotionally. And being in that scene, I guess, we knew where we were going with it, but Chuck was very happy with the way it ended. But I mean, with the way it wrapped up. But I definitely think that it was all John. I mean, when you're an actor in my position, you can't help but just kind of retain and receive all of that information and let it affect you, because he is in character. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is that guy that
Yeah.
he's playing right there. So I mean, it was just kind of like a very cool and a little bit eerie invitation to play, because he is playing the character that he's playing. But no, I learned so much. I mean, I always hold those moments of working with some people that I admire like really close to heart, and they kind of they're very definitely like meaningful checkpoints in my experience that I constantly learn from those experiences, even like way down the line.
That's great to have been a part of so many great stories. Well, I want to talk about Glee as we wrap here. That obviously was
Oh
a
yeah.
huge part of your life. And I think, obviously all good things must come to an end. But are
Yeah.
there any good takeaways from that experience that really have stuck with you? Because obviously, there was the core cast, and then a couple people left. One of the cast members, Corey, passed away, and then like the show sort of continued on. I shouldn't say sort of, it continued on, but then people really grasped onto that. I think one of the best shows on television.
Oh yeah. I mean, first off, I started watching that show as a fan when I was like 15, 16 with my
Yeah.
brother. My brother Ricky's the one who turned me on to it. He was like, "Oh, this is a show that you could be on." He knew that I like to act, not so much sing yet. At that point, nobody in my family knew I could sing. I kind of held that to myself, kept that to myself. But I guess as an actor, I learned, to there's only so many opportunities you're going to get to sing, act, and dance, and on a job in general. And so as an actor, I learned to kind of certain ways for myself. Everyone's different, but kind of to get out of your own way, and how to emote through song, how to really channel in different types of scenes, and just kind of actory. Everybody has their own process. So as an actor, I definitely learned what mine was, at least early on in that place in my career and at that age. So I think I started that show when I was like 19. Wow.
Yeah.
But as a person, definitely to soak up. There's definitely to soak up the moment. You think one of those things you think that experience is gonna last a long time. You think it's gonna last forever. Even as like someone who's like a guest in their home, I kind of came in way later in the game, but you get so used to like the kind of point A to point B, the machinery of that type of show, because it was kind of like you go to dance practice, and you go record a song, then you can shoot it, then you got to sing. It was quite the challenge. But I don't know, but just definitely to kind of leap. Also, to leap to anything you're afraid of artistically is kind of worth taking the plunge. That's why later on I kind of dove into theater. I hadn't done it since high school, and I was like, the reason why I want to do it was because it scared me, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So all of those things, but definitely top one is to just kind of relish the moment, because you don't know how
Yeah.
long something's going to last or how quick time's going to go. And that was obviously the start of my career, and a very, very meaningful one to me, because I don't know, I got to prove a lot of grounds, and I also got to conquer a fear that I was afraid of, which is having a steady gig in Hollywood. Everybody wants one, and then you get one, and then you're like, can I pull it off?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Then
it's like
imposter
as you get
syndrome
it, and then you're
sets
like,
in.
I hope
Yeah.
they don't fire me. Yeah.
Well, It clearly proved to be successful for you. Paradise City, everybody, coming uh, very soon to a streamer in theaters. Lots of opportunities to watch it. We've been chatting with one of the stars, Blake Jenner. I've watched the film twice. It's just really great. I can't wait for people to see this. We've got all the Christmas and the scary movies and the Thanksgiving movies, but it's nice to have a great action film with a dynamic cast, including our guest Blake. Blake, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Thank you, Brad. And yes, everybody, it's action packed. Go check it out and grab a lot of popcorn.